Lord, I've asked you for this before. You know I have. I need you to heal me, my body, my mind, this heaviness I carry. I go to church. I sing in the choir. I try to live right. So why does it still feel like you're not listening? There's a particular kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. Amara knew that tired well. She'd been carrying it for almost 2 years now, that heavy, behind the eyes kind of tired that no amount of closing them seemed to touch. That morning, like most mornings, she was on her knees before the sun was fully up, forehead pressed against the edge of her bed. She stayed there a moment longer, like she was waiting for something, a feeling, a whisper, anything. Nothing came. Hey, real quick, say hi in the comments and let me know which country you're watching from. I'd really love to see how far this story goes. Okay, back to Amara. She sighed, stood up, and went to splash water on her face. In the mirror, her eyes looked the way they always did lately, tired but trying. By the time she got to the kitchen, though, something in her had already shifted gears. Today was the day she'd promised to bake for 3 different church programs. 3. Don't ask how that happened. One small yes to the women's fellowship had somehow multiplied into a full bakery operation, and her kitchen now looked like a flour explosion, with a side of regret. Note to self, she muttered, scraping batter off the counter. Next time, just say no like a normal person. Her neighbor, Mrs. Adeyemi, popped her head over the fence with a knowing grin. Smells like chaos in there. It is chaos, Amara laughed. Pray for me. Always do, dear, always do. It was a small moment, nothing special, but it was her. Funny, warm, a little overwhelmed, but still showing up, still trying. She grabbed her bag, locked the door behind her, and headed for the bus stop. Another day, another prayer she hoped would land somewhere this time. The bus was its usual half-full self, the kind of quiet hum where everyone's lost in their own world. Amara took her seat near the window, earbuds in but no music playing, just background noise to keep people from talking to her too early in the morning. 2 seats ahead, though, 2 women were having a conversation she couldn't not hear. "I'm telling you," the older one said, "until you forgive him, you're the one stuck. He's moved on. He doesn't even think about it anymore. You're the one still carrying it." The younger woman shook her head firmly. "No, forgiving him means pretending it didn't matter. It mattered. What he did mattered. If I forgive him, it's like I'm saying it's okay." "That's not what forgiveness means." "Then what does it mean?" the younger woman snapped, voice cracking just slightly. "Because every time someone tells me to forgive, it feels like they're asking me to lie." Amara stared out the window, suddenly very interested in a billboard she'd seen 100 times before. She wasn't part of that conversation, but something about it sat in her chest like a stone dropped in still water. Small splash, big ripples. She didn't know why. Not yet. She got off 2 stops early. Amara liked the walk. She said it cleared her head, though lately her head never seemed to clear all the way. She passed the small park near her workplace, the one with the old swing set that had been there longer than she'd been alive. A little girl was on one of the swings, giggling as her father pushed her higher and higher. Amara slowed down without meaning to. "Higher, Daddy, higher." And just like that, she was 8 years old again, on that same kind of swing. Her father's hands on her back, pushing gently, her sisters waiting for their turn, laughing, the smell of roasted corn from the vendor near the gate, a whole afternoon that felt like it would never end. She hadn't thought about that swing in years. She blinked, and the memory was gone as quickly as it came. The little girl was still giggling. Amara kept walking, faster now, like she could outpace whatever that feeling was. She had no idea that memory was about to matter a lot more than she expected, and sooner than she thought. Work passed the way work does. By the time she was walking back to the bus stop that evening, the sky was doing that orange-purple thing it does right before it gets dark, and her feet were aching from standing all day. And then she saw him, an older man, standing near the bus stop sign, looking around like he wasn't sure he was in the right place. Something about the way he stood, hands clasped, shoulders slightly hunched, made her stomach drop before her mind even caught up. Amara? She stopped walking. It was her father's voice, older, rougher around the edges, but unmistakably his. Amara, it's me. I know who you are. Her voice came out flatter than she intended, colder too. For a second, just a second, she saw it all again. Not the swing this time, the other memory, the one she'd buried so deep she almost forgot it existed. Her mother, sitting at the kitchen table late one night, not crying, just still, too still. Her sisters asleep, an empty chair at the table that used to be his. He never called after that, not once. Not when their mother got sick, not when she passed. Not for birthdays, graduations, anything. 20-something years of nothing. And now, here he was, at a bus stop, like he could just show up. "I just wanted to see you," he said quietly. "I heard you and your sisters turned out well. I'm proud of—" "Don't." The word came out sharper than she meant. "Don't you dare say you're proud. You don't get to be proud. You weren't there." He flinched but didn't argue, didn't defend himself, just stood there, looking smaller than she remembered. "I have to go," she said, and walked past him to catch her bus, hands shaking, refusing to look back. She didn't see his face as she walked away. If she had, she might have noticed he looked less like a man who'd come to make excuses and more like a man who'd come to say sorry and didn't get the chance. The next morning, still rattled from the night before, Amara was walking to the bus stop when she noticed an elderly man struggling with 2 heavy shopping bags, trying to navigate the curb. Without thinking twice, she rushed over. "Here, let me help you with that." "Oh, thank you, dear. So kind of you." She carried his bags to the bench, made sure he was settled, and even stayed a moment to chat about the weather before continuing on her way. It was such a small thing, she didn't think about it again. But for a moment, just a flicker, the man had looked at her with the kind of grateful smile an old man gives a young stranger. Funny, she thought later, how easy it was to be kind to a stranger, and how hard it had been, just hours earlier, to be kind to her own father. She didn't make that connection herself, not yet. That night, she tried to pray the way she always did. "Lord, heal me, give me peace, I'm so tired." But the words felt strange in her mouth, hollow almost, like reading a script she'd memorized but no longer believed. She gave up after a few minutes, climbed into bed, and stared at the ceiling. Sleep wouldn't come. Of course it wouldn't. On her nightstand sat an old photograph she hadn't touched in years. She didn't even remember leaving it there. It must have fallen out of a book at some point. In it, a little girl on a swing, a man's hands on her shoulders, both of them laughing at something outside the frame. She looked at it for a long time, but she didn't pick it up. Not yet. Around midnight, unable to sleep, she sat up and reached for her phone. Her thumb hovered over her father's number, the one he must have left with someone, because she had no idea how she even had it. She stared at the screen for a long, long moment. Then she put the phone down. "Not tonight," she told herself. "I'm not ready." But something had shifted. Even she could feel it. That small crack where light gets in. The next day was choir rehearsal, the one part of her week Amara genuinely looked forward to, even on the hardest days. Tonight, though, she was distracted, fumbling notes she'd sung 100 times before. "You're somewhere else today," the choir director, Brother Tunde, said gently, not unkindly, as the others packed up their music sheets. "Just tired," Amara said, which wasn't really a lie. Before everyone left, Brother Tunde cleared his throat. "Before we go, I want us to learn a new song for next Sunday. It's about restoration, about God putting back together things we thought were broken for good." He smiled. "Funny enough, it reminds me of my own father." A few of the older members nodded, like they already knew this story. "We didn't speak for almost 15 years. Pride, mostly, on both sides. And one day, out of nowhere, he called me, just to talk. I almost didn't answer." He chuckled softly. "I'm glad I did. We had 6 good years together before he passed. 6 years I almost missed over something I can't even fully remember the details of anymore." He said it lightly, almost as an afterthought, already moving on to hand out the new sheet music. He had no idea that Amara was sitting 3 feet away, gripping her own music folder a little tighter than necessary. She didn't say anything. She just took her copy of the new song, said her goodnights, and walked out into the cool evening air, Brother Tunde's words replaying in her mind the entire way home. 6 years I almost missed. The next evening, restless, she picked up her Bible, not looking for anything in particular, just wanting to feel close to something. It fell open to a page she hadn't read in a long time. Her eyes landed on a verse about prayer, about how when we come to God, if we're holding something against someone, we need to let it go, so that we too can be forgiven and made whole. She read it again and again. Then, almost without thinking, she reached for the photograph on her nightstand. This time, she really looked at it. Not just the swing, not just her own laughing face, his hand, resting gently on her small shoulder. Something in her chest loosened, just slightly, like a held breath, finally let out. She got on her knees that night, differently than she had in years. "Lord," she began, voice shaking, "you said you're close to the brokenhearted. You said you bind up wounds. I've been asking you to heal me, and I think I finally understand why it's felt like silence. You told us that if we don't forgive, we block our own healing. I didn't want to hear that. I still don't want to forgive him, Lord. Honestly, I don't feel ready. But you're faithful, even when I'm not. So if you can make me willing, if you can do in me what I can't do myself, I'm asking you to." She thought of the swing, of his hand on her shoulder, of her mother's quiet strength all those years, never once teaching her daughters to hate. "Heal my heart first, and then heal the rest of me too." For the first time in longer than she could remember, she didn't feel like she was praying into silence. A few days later, she found herself standing outside a small house in a part of town she hadn't visited in years. Her hand was shaking as she knocked. He opened the door, and for a moment, neither of them said anything. I came to talk," she said quietly. "Not to fight, just talk." It wasn't a movie reunion. There were no dramatic tears, no perfect words. Just 2 people sitting on a worn-out couch having an awkward, careful conversation, the kind where every sentence starts and stops a few times before it comes out right. Near the end, she said something she hadn't planned to say. "I forgive you. I'm still working through what that means, but I do." He nodded, eyes glistening, and after a long pause, he said, Will you pray for me sometime? It's been a long time since anyone has." "I will. And will you pray for me too?" He looked surprised. like it hadn't occurred to him that she might need prayer too. But he nodded. Of course. That night, Amara made 2 cups of tea instead of 1, before she even realized what she was doing. She sat by the window, watching the evening settle in, feeling lighter than she had in longer than she could remember. She climbed into bed, and for the first time in months, she slept. Really slept. The deep, dreamless, restful kind. A few weeks later, on the bus, her phone buzzed. A text from her father. "Prayed for you this morning. Hope your day goes well." She smiled, typed back, "Thank you. Praying for you too. Talk soon?" A small thing, a normal thing, the kind of thing that 2 months ago would have been unthinkable. We often ask God to heal what hurts on the outside, our bodies, our sleep, our circumstances. But sometimes healing doesn't start with God changing our situation. Sometimes it starts with Him changing us and giving us the courage to let go of what we've been holding onto for far too long. If there's something or someone you've been holding onto, maybe today is the day to bring it to Him. He's not asking you to pretend it didn't hurt. He's just asking you to trust Him with it. If this story touched something in you, maybe there's someone you've been holding on to, or maybe you're just tired of waiting for an answer that hasn't come yet. I'd love to hear from you. You don't have to share details, even just a word, like forgiveness or patience or whatever's on your heart right now. Drop it in the comments. Someone else reading might need to see it too.